Today I want to talk about the first episode of Danni Lowinkski. It is not special in any way. It's a pilot episode. It's supposed to introduce us to the characters, and it gives us a first taste of Danni's very unusual lawyering. First, a little warning: if you haven't watched the show but you would like to, maybe stop this video now because there will be spoilers in here. So the first episode, it starts with Danni receiving her diploma and swearing her oath. She's a lawyer now, and her reaction is calm, mature, and dignified. The other graduates just roll their eyes at her. Danni comes from a completely different world. She behaves differently, she talks differently, Well, that. So she starts applying for jobs, but it doesn't go so well. For some reason, no one wants to hire someone her age who has done nothing but cutting hair so far. Until she has an interview with a certain Oliver Schmidt, and she's extremely surprised when it goes very well. At first, he praises her for her unusual resume. He wants to hire her, and Danni is so happy until, well, there was a misunderstanding. They were looking for a secretary, not a lawyer. Danni is devastated. She sits with Bea on the stairs at the mall when a guy who's collecting for animals is asking them for money. You see, the thing with Danni is, when she's in a bad mood, well, then she is really in a bad mood.
Von mir aus stopfen die so viele Schweine, wie es nur geht, in einen LKW und hauen den Wachstumshormone rein. Ja!
At home, her father decides to lighten the mood by piling more shit on her. He points out that she's wasted her time, he wants her to give up, to go back to cutting hair, and he keeps whining and whining and whining until she's had enough and storms out. At the mall, Danni sees that young man again she had that very friendly conversation with, and she gets an idea. She wants to use that space. So she tries to convince Mrs. Bose, she manages a mall, to rent her that space. But Mrs. Bose is not a fan of that idea. She finds Danni's argument that this would be a win for the mall very unconvincing. Who would want her as a lawyer? Well, Danni has one argument all the other lawyers don't have. She's cheap. She gets permission, and the next day she starts working, and, well, things just couldn't be better.
Up on another day, and then I feel oh so bored. Yes, where wouldn't be? Is it how it ends?
But then, finally, the first client. Mayumi and her daughter need help. Mayumi has worked illegally as a nanny and cleaning lady for a rich family, but then she got sick and was fired. After having worked for them for 5 years for very little money, the family gave her 500 euros and sent her away. Usually in Germany, you cannot just fire someone who gets sick from one day to the other, but since this work was illegal, well, and Danni points that out, of course, that suing is difficult in such a case, but she suggests that she could just visit that family and talk to them. So Danni goes to talk to them, but of course they are like, Mayumi? Never heard of her, never seen her, who is that? And Danni's like, look, I'm not the police, you don't have to lie to me, but hey, you have a responsibility here. But the rich people have already called their lawyer, and it is Oliver Schmidt.
Ein Freund der Familie.
Aber wir kennen uns doch.
Needless to say, the conversation doesn't go too well. On her way home, Danni loses a shoe, and when Schmidt offers to drive her home, they have a bit of a fight. And Danni is now sure she is going to sue. When she walks down the street, some workers yell some very indecent things at her, but Danni, being Danni, she has an answer to that.
Komm zu uns!
Mayumi is scared of suing, of course, since she's worked illegally. It's very risky. She then remembers that she has brought coffee to one of the workers who had such nice compliments for Danni. That guy could be a witness in court. Danni asks Rasul if he can repair her shoe, and also if she can keep her stuff in his shop overnight. And Rasul is like, nope. And she's like, please. And Rasul is like, nope. And she's like, pretty please. And he's like, all right, but only for one night. Oh, and if you don't mind, please use proper grammar while you're at it. Thank you very much.
Der ihr ist ein falscher Genitiv. Ihr Deutschen habt so eine schöne Sprache, ihr solltet sie besser pflegen.
So Danni tries to charm the worker into testifying in court. And he says, Danni, I would do anything for you, except testifying in court. And she tries pretty please with him, but he's like, nope, not gonna do that. But then he discovers they have a connection because they are both from Poland. That changes his mind. He calls Danni a sister, and he is ready to be a witness. Danni is extremely excited about this. She can't resist bringing the papers to Oliver Schmidt personally. In court, she's so nervous that she annoys the judge by being so insecure. Sadly, things go very badly, because the Polish guy lies. He's scared. He also works illegally. Danni loses her temper with him and insults him in German and in Polish.
Du verschissener, notgeiler Drecksarsch. Te Trujo, te Gnojku.
The judge is not amused. Danni gets punished. She must pay 1,000 euros. Mayumi's daughter is angry as well because this went so badly. To turn this around, they need a proof that Mayumi was in the house of the rich guys and worked there. To calm down a bit, they visit Niels. He gives Mayumi a massage. And then Niels has the idea that people used to write notes with instructions. His parents had a cleaning lady and they always wrote notes with instructions. And Mayumi says, wait a minute, I got notes like that. And she always tossed those notes in the trash. So the solution is obvious. Digging through the trash. She tries to charm the garbage man, who's just about to take the trash away, to give her the container. He refuses, and she tries to buy the garbage. Then she just flips the container over to keep him from taking it away. From a window, the rich lady sees that and calls her lawyer. Danni finds the notes and is already celebrating, but then you get a cat fight in the trash.
Hallo! Au!
Yeah. So the rich lady tries to convince Danni that she really is a good person. After all, she gave Mayumi the $500. Isn't she a good person? She gave her $500 after all. She didn't have to do that. And then she starts crying because her husband doesn't touch her anymore. What? Yeah, okay, that is a little bit cliché. That is a big cliché. You treat your employees like shit because your husband is not interested anymore. Yeah, sure, okay. Great, okay, so the police is willing to let them go when they clean up the mess they made. Back in court, Mr. and Mrs. Rich admit everything. That means Danni has won. Hooray! With the money she's earned, Danni pays Rasul for letting her keep her stuff in his shop, and then she pays Niels because he had that idea that saved the day. At home, Kurt is in the bathtub, and when he tries to get out, the handle rips off the wall. Kurt shouts for help. Danni comes in. She wants to help him, but Kurt is whining and whining and whining until she had enough, gets angry and leaves him in the bathtub. She then goes out on the balcony to celebrate her victory with Bea. And Kurt keeps yelling and yelling until Bea has mercy with him. Kurt can really be a little bit of an ass sometimes. This first episode already shows how different Danni is from the usual lawyer. Sure, her clumsiness in court goes away later, when she gains more experience, but her willingness to go the extra mile to help her clients, that stays. Mayumi and her daughter would never have approached a normal lawyer, so already Danni has proven that despite her lack of experience, she is making a difference here. Danni demonstrates how much she believes in fairness when she shares the money she's earned with Niels, since he had the idea to go looking for the note. So overall, a very decent episode. Nothing special, but it does a job of introducing us to Danni and her team.